Well, everybody, I want to welcome you to a very important live stream. It is my pleasure to be hosting Let's Talk Geopolitics with my good friend and colleague, Alex from Reporterfy Media. And in today's episode, we do have a lot of things that we need to discuss. We're going to be starting with the U.S. economy collapsing right now. We actually have the Q4 2025 GDP numbers in, and it is absolutely shocking what is happening to the United States economy. As a result of that, we're actually seeing the MAGA movement starting to collapse. We're seeing some of the biggest voices in the MAGA movement coming out and absolutely going against Donald Trump. I do believe that this is the beginning of the end of Donald Trump's reign as president, and we're going to be getting into all of that. And we're going to be talking about Epstein. This is a very important topic because, you know, for so long, we've heard Donald Trump say that it's a hoax, but yet Melania Trump, Donald Trump's wife, had to go to the press conference this week to discuss it in more detail, which definitely leads to some very big speculation there. And of course, we cannot talk a show about geopolitics without talking about the biggest crisis going on in our world. And that, of course, is the Iran war. We currently have the United States and Iranian officials meeting in Pakistan. However, if you were here for the intro of our clip there, JD Vance has already announced that there was no deal after 21 hours of negotiations. A large piece of that was actually the uranium that Iran has refused to give up, which, as you can imagine, makes a lot of sense considering that they've been attacked blindly twice in the last 12 months. But let's have a great show, everybody, and let's get on it.
Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for having me on the program, Cyrus. Just kidding. No, a lot to unpack today. You know, I was watching that in real time, what was going on in the Pakistan brokered peace agreement, and it's quite troubling. We have seen over the weekend that there was a failure to come to any agreement. Of course, the Americans are going in there quite aggressively and quite arrogantly, assuming that just because they have bombed 20,000 people into submission, they feel that they have achieved their goals and Iran should just turn over, which is not the case. Here's the problem here. The Iranians have always said, we plan on continuing enriching uranium. We plan on controlling the Strait of Hormuz. What's changed here? Nothing has changed for the Iranian playbook, but when it comes to the Americans, they feel that, okay, we've bombed the country into submission. It's ours to take. It's our oil to take. And I have to agree with you about Donald Trump here. He is actually in free fall. Right in front of the American public, you can see a man that is desperate. The White House is in chaos, as we have put in the title here today. And I'm quite worried about the sitting president at this moment. I've seen many over the years that I've been alive, but this one is screaming desperation with his tweets about wiping out nations and his desperate attempt to actually try to rally the MAGAs. It's not happening anymore. And you saw his massive multi-word Truth Social where he attacked Tucker Carlson, Megan, what was her name? Megyn Kelly.
Megyn Kelly.
He went through the whole, pretty much his entire base. He's just said, I'll go it alone. And well, he's going to go it alone. And I got one last point I want to say is when you send Jared Kushner, the Undertaker, to negotiate a deal when previously anyone had ever sat down with Jared Kushner for more than a day or two was dead 48 hours later. So not the right team to be sending into the Middle East there to negotiate this. Back to you, sir.
Yeah, first of all, Alex, I want to say it's always a pleasure to share the screen with you. And everybody, if you have seen the improved graphics and the technology behind that, that is Alex and his team putting in a tremendous amount of work. Alex, great job, buddy. You've really done a good job. I'm having some technical difficulties. I'm actually on my webcam. My camera was not working this morning, so I apologize for not looking as sharp as you on the screen, Alex. But
you look good, buddy.
No, it's always a pleasure to be with you, buddy, and I'm really excited for today's show. So, guys, I want to start actually by playing a clip from the Megyn Kelly when she was actually when she was discussing with Piers Morgan. This is actually an amazing clip because I want you guys to take a look at how much the messaging has changed from the MAGA crowd. Let's play that clip of Megyn and Morgan criticize the Israeli war.
We are sick of being the policeman of the world, of being dragged into conflict after conflict by Bibi Netanyahu, by Israel, who's supposed to be our special ally, but what they're special at is getting us to fight their wars and get involved in their conflicts that they can't fight by themselves. That's what Dan Kane said to President Trump the day after Netanyahu came for the 7th time and was sitting in that situation room like an equal. He said that they're great on intelligence. That's supposed to be the area in which they're so special to us. They share their intelligence. They're great on it. But that intelligence doesn't always seem to pan out. Like, the regime will fall easily. The Iranian people will revolt in the streets and take over. With how? They don't have guns. Bombs would be raining down. Wasn't this thought through? There isn't regime change. The Iranian people are arguably worse off than they were before. And it's all based on Bibi Netanyahu's special intelligence, which cost at least 15 American lives, the fracturing of the Trump coalition, probably at least the next 2 elections for Republicans, not to mention the amount of lives and blood and treasure that was spilled in the Middle East. So great job.
Yeah. So everybody, I mean, this is an amazing clip because what I want people to understand is that the biggest right-wing influencers in the space, you've got people like Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Matt Wallace. There are some guys, and I mean, these are power influencers, Alex, guys, basically influencers with tens of millions of people following them. They were honestly the reason that Donald Trump won the White House in 2024. Donald Trump and the Republican right-wing coalition, the right wing is much, much stronger on social media than the left wing. And so that's actually, it was the catalyst to having people like Megyn Kelly, who has always stood by Donald Trump's side. Tucker Carlson, a huge supporter. And this is why I agree with what you said earlier, Alex, is that this is the beginning of the end of Trump, because the simple reality is that all of these big names are turning their backs on Trump. And Megyn Kelly hits the nail on the head. It, of course, is Benjamin Netanyahu. Donald Trump went to war for Bibi Netanyahu. And I've actually got a video that's going to be coming out later tonight discussing exactly this, kind of the inside scoops into why the United States went to war. What does it mean? And where do we go from here, Alex? But it's astonishing to see how MAGA is absolutely collapsing right now.
I have to add, there is one minor error in Megyn's statement where she said the Iranians don't have guns. In fact, there were container loads of guns trucked into Tehran weeks before this took part, given to civilians, given to operatives working within Iran. And, Morandi did mention this in one of our live streams, that the Americans did arm people in that country, and this ended up in chaos and bloodshed. So the Americans are responsible for some of the uprising. They are great at propaganda. And I don't blame Megyn Kelly and all these right-wing influencers to distance themselves from Donald Trump. It's not just him, it's this entire regime that is running the United States of America. They love to bomb, they love to bankrupt, and they love to bully, and they will continue to do that as long as they can get away with it. There's no sheriff in town that's going to be taking these boys to jail. They're pretty much carte blanche, and they will continue to be carte blanche. They're on a roll. Lindsey Graham thinks they're on a roll. Hey, once we steamrolled Iran, let's move on to Cuba. Once we're done with Cuba, maybe we'll take a hard right and we'll head up to Greenland. Threatening European partners, threatening Canadians, threatening Iranians, threatening Cubans, threatening Venezuelans. What's next, boys? No wonder you're in free fall. Your economy is FUCKED'd big time, and it ain't coming back. I'm going to pull up a graph here just to show you guys the weekend. This is a bit of a gray market. It's the IG market, and this is your Dow Jones Monday morning. Now, this is right now the gray market, but this has been pretty much more right than wrong. This is IG. It's a quote saying that the Dow will open up 621 points down. And we got one more graph here, and you know exactly what one it is. It's oil. Oil is going to be on fire again tomorrow morning. And we know this, Cyrus, when this oil gets up to around $100, $105, and we have predicted this. And again, I'm going to say to everyone out there, this is going to play out in the financial markets. The trader in chief is losing big time. He doesn't have support in the market. It's out of his control. Yes, Donald, the world financial markets are bigger than you, my friend. Have a seat. Watch the Iranians absolutely ratio you on the stock market. Back to you, my friend.
Yeah, no, Alex. I mean, you're spot on as usual. When it comes to the financial markets, and I think the interesting thing that I want people to understand here, Alex, is that even if there was a solution, okay, there has been to this conflict, and there was some type of magical peace deal. The disruption that has already happened with these container ships leaving is going to be bleeding repercussions for many months to come. It's a very violent disruption. And this is something that I always say on my YouTube channel, is that we live in a global economy. This is why I believe that we should be seeking win-win partnerships. We need to be building relationships, because we can't do it on ourselves, right? There's no country that is going to be 100% dependent on themselves for everything. And why would you be, right? When you live in a world economy and you can do trade with other nations. I mean, this is essentially, where the core issue that we always talk about is China. This is how China has risen to be so prosperous, in the sense that they have built the Belt and Road Initiative. They have been a major member of BRICS. They have, continued to be the largest trading partner for 120 nations around the world. This is how you win. What is that famous Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People? That's China. And I was actually talking to my father about that, and he said, that's one book that Donald Trump should read, because he doesn't know how to do that, actually. And I'm very worried about this, Alex, as an American citizen, as a U.S. citizen, I should say, because we are seeing the decline of America, happening rapidly, much, much faster than any of us could have imagined under Donald Trump. And the problem is that our reputation's been destroyed abroad, right? If you look at international polls now, China is viewed much more favorably than the United States. That is quite an amazing statistic alone. But the simple thing is that we're destroying our relationships with our allies. And, when we look at the leader of the White House right now, we've come to a point where if you agree with Trump and you're a yes man, then Trump thinks you're a good person. The moment you start to disagree with him, he is going to attack you. And I want to play another clip for our audience here, but I want everybody to understand what just happened. When Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, again, all of these guys, they were the influencers that got Trump into the White House. But when they started questioning, and again, not even attacking, just questioning, because they said, wait a second, why are we starting a new war in Iran? Wait a second, what? I thought we weren't going to do that. Just by merely asking the question, Trump immediately is just like, these guys are low intelligent people. They've never been good at their jobs. They're horrible human beings. And that's exactly what happens with Trump. If you're on his good side, he'll praise you. But at the moment that you even question what he's doing, you're a traitor. But we've got some receipts here, Alex, and I want to play the clip of the CNN montage, Trump praising the other people. Let's play that clip.
I just mentioned a name, but a woman who I saw the other night on television just ripped some poor idiot apart. Megyn Kelly is here, and she's doing... Come up. Come up here, Megyn. By the way, I'm having a great time up here. Are you having a good time? This guy... Is he the greatest interviewer? Candace Owens, I watched her and I saw her coming. I said, I'm pretty good at star power. I say, that's a star. I just want to finish by saying your reputation's amazing. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed.
Donald Trump, let me say this. My audience, I'd say 90% supports you. Okay.
Right.
And you definitely have shown your knowledge of geopolitical systems.
Yeah. So, Alex, I mean, that's the interesting receipts that we kept. Okay. So again, these are the guys that Donald Trump now is attacking. But you can see back in the day, they were the ones that were the catalyst to Donald Trump getting into the White House. All of these four people that we just mentioned, major influencers. We're talking a combined total following, probably 50, 60 million Americans are following these four individuals together. And again, they supported Donald Trump from day one. But of course, they also have functioning brains. And when they start to see things unravel and they start to question things, and the best one is I agree with Trump's statement. Donald, I would say Tucker Carlson is one of the best interviewers out there. And he started to ask some tough questions and that Trump has no answers for, because it goes back to the end of the day that Trump started this war for Bibi Netanyahu. Now, the real issue here, and this is what I wanted to talk about first in our segment today, is just the collapse of MAGA. Guys, we are reading, it is the writing on the wall, the collapse is happening. And it honestly is, we are seeing Donald Trump, essentially walking to his destiny, which is going to be a defeat in the midterms this November. Back to you, Alex.
All right, coming up, we're going to play that clip. We'll cue it up. One sec. I just wanted to say, to add to your statement about playing that last clip about Megyn Kelly, it's not show friends, it's show business. And that is a classic Donald Trump.
That's a good quote.
So we got some more clips in the back. Do we know which one we're playing? I think we do. Let's have a look here. Here we are.
But I will say that the president's demands, we have not reached any of those objectives. I have full confidence that the president is going to find some way to make this happen. But he said that we want to dismantle all major nuclear facilities. That has not happened. The end of uranium enrichment on the soil, they're still enriching. The transfer of the enriched uranium stockpiles out of Iran, that hasn't happened. The acceptance of intrusive international inspections, they're still not willing to do that. And they have not suspended their ballistic missiles program. They're still firing them off to stop the production of the long-range missiles. That's just a few of them on the president's proposal. The question is the president using this 2 weeks to give our soldiers a break, a rest, to see if we can get this ultimately done? We'll see.
What's this clip all about, Cyrus?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest takeaway from here, guys, is you have Fox News, which again is the right-wing conservative network in the United States. I mean, they just basically admitted on air to all Americans, guys, the United States has not achieved a single military objective in this war. Now, interesting enough, Alex, I don't know if you saw that clip from Donald Trump. He was outside a helicopter yesterday, and he said, are you going to get a deal? And he says, actually, I don't care about a deal. We can get a deal or not a deal. It doesn't matter because we get to win. We already won. We already won the deal. And this is just the classic, derangement that Donald Trump has, because again, when you are the world's biggest narcissist, and I will happily go on the record of calling Donald Trump that, when you're the world's biggest narcissist, you're always going to be a winner. And, again, this is a man that has bankrupted casinos. How do you do that? How do you bankrupt casinos? It's like only one guy could bankrupt so many casinos and basically fail so much, but everything is a facade. Everything is projected as power. And this is a thing is that the United States, we got our butts kicked in Iran. This is you just categorically cannot, describe it as anything other than a good old fashioned butt kicking. And this is the thing that happened is that we have spent $30 billion on this war. We have lost numerous aircraft. We're talking F-35 jets that are deemed unhittable. They're untouchable in modern day warfare because these jets are so advanced. Iran was able to take them down. How about the THAAD missile interceptors? These things cost billions of dollars, every single one of them destroyed, so much to the point that we had to relocate all of the THAAD missile interceptors from South Korea, our ally, and then had to bring them back to the Middle East. Okay. There's 13 bases, guys. There are 13 United States military bases in the Middle East, right? When you look at, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, you look at Saudi Arabia, all of these have different regions. Iran's gone 13 for 13. All 13 of them have been struck. Many of them have been deemed unlivable, and United States soldiers have had to been relocated to hotels in the region because they can't live on base anymore. So again, if you look at, and this was quite interesting, is you still see the desperation from Fox there. I still have full confidence that the president's going to achieve this. However, looking at the situation right now, we have yet to achieve a single military objective, right? Iran still has the uranium, okay? The United States has not seized a single kilogram of enriched uranium from Iran. The missile program, obviously they're still going to continue. And I have to be honest, if you're Iran, why on earth would you give up your missiles? This is the only thing that has been proven to keep you safe in this war against the United States. I mean, let's not forget, everybody, this was an unprovoked war that was unconstitutional. The president does not have the authority to go to war directly. The president must seek congressional approval. That is how the checks and balances work in the United States government system. Donald Trump didn't. he basically had a meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu. Again, I'm going to detail this in a very good dedicated video later this evening. But on February 11th, 2026, Benjamin Netanyahu arrived in Washington, D.C. And Benjamin Netanyahu was not escorted to the press area. He was not, normally they have those big ceremonies on the White House lawn, the photo ops, everything's, the Israeli prime minister meeting with the president, everything's out in the public. He's answering questions from the press. No, Donald Trump escorted Bibi Netanyahu to the White House's Situation Room. Now, the Situation Room is a highly classified, secure, 24/7 complex that is reserved for the United States president and only his top security advisors. And you go into the Situation Room to discuss matters of strategic national intelligence. Okay? No foreigners are supposed to be in there. But yet, Bibi Netanyahu was invited to the Situation Room. And here's the deal. He was able to sit at the head of the table. Trump sat to the side. Bibi Netanyahu took the front stage. He sat at the head of the table, and behind him, he gave a 1-hour presentation. This is all documented in a brand new New York Times article that basically says, how Donald Trump, went to war, how he declared this war. And Bibi Netanyahu basically gave this presentation. And he said, look, Iran is so weak, we can basically knock them out within a couple of weeks. They're not going to have any ability to close down the strait, so you don't have to worry about that, Donald Trump. In addition, they have no ability to fight back. They're not going to hit your U.S. bases. They're not going to hit any of the Gulf states. They're going to be paralyzed with just a very small air campaign. And so Donald Trump took the bait. He took the bait and he thought, okay, cool. Now here's the crazy thing, Alex. All of the security advisors, and I have to give credit where credit's due, J.D. Vance stood up and said, this is terrible. This is a terrible plan. I mean, J.D. Vance was absolutely against it, and he warned it. Even the United States highest ranking military officer, General Kane, told Donald Trump, he said, sir, this is what the Israelis do. They overpromise and underdeliver. They don't understand Iran. They just want a war, but they don't get the logistics of this. Sir, as your top security advisor, I'm warning you, do not go into this war. But, isn't it very interesting, Alex? That Bibi Netanyahu has that much play and that much control over the United States president.
You can only get away with this when you have something on our president. And clearly, this is the Epstein class, and this is deep. Why do you think Melania jumped and went in front of the press? I think I heard unannounced to her husband. There is more going on behind the scenes than we think. J.D. Vance, he's upset because, the midterms are going to put a stake in it for the Republicans, and it's going to be a hill that he just cannot climb in 2028. Done. Toasted. History. Goodbye, Republicans. I'm really disappointed here. In 2016, I thought we had a chance. I thought, here's a guy. He's very different. He's not a political guy. He's a businessman. He's the greatest guy that could maybe help America really get that, drive back that I used to see in America when I was a young teenager. Even though I'm a Canadian, I used to admire that country. And now I see a country with corruption, invading other countries. I know they've been doing this for a long time, but we have become numb to this. Look at what's happened in the last half of this year. We think it's okay that we send in our special operations unit into Venezuela, grabbing people in the middle of the night, wives, killing security guards, bombing boats that don't even have an engine that would even, get to the coast of the United States of America. This is ludicrous. And this will continue to go on as you have the psychopaths like Lindsey Graham in the White House and in Congress there. It's crazy, Cyrus. And we will continue to see this. Hearing these right-wingers, influencers distance themselves from Trump is I would say it's a lifeline to them. They have seen it in broad daylight that we better get out of the way before this implodes, and it's going to implode. Now, we see that the U.S. government is making its own choices. They don't care about the people. They don't care about their voters. If they did, how are you doing, America? How's the gas pump for you guys right now? Gas going up? I'd like to hear about it in the comments. Is it what, $3, $4, $5, $6 a gallon? How's the 401ks doing last week, guys? Guess what they're going to do on Monday? They're going to give you another reality check. You are paying for this, not the commander-in-chief and the traitor-in-chief. here's something for you you guys can have a look. Have a look what happened this week. Now, I'm going to turn to my right and just read this. It's quite a long tweet that I sent this out on my X on, let's see, I think it was Saturday morning. Just saw a 950 million bet against oil placed mere hours before the ceasefire. As I discussed on the Duran with also Cyrus Janssen, this isn't lucky timing. It's a massive red flag. Looks like we have a new traitor-in-chief in the White House, perfectly timed the markets while the rest of us just watch. Derivatives rule the stock market. You've heard me say that many times on this program. When you can move $950 million in the dark, the free market is just a myth. Remember, the Securities and Exchange Commission doesn't have the power to criminally charge people. They just hand out cost of doing business fines. Maybe Epstein did the trade. This is really bizarre stuff that we see going on here. We've seen them absolutely wreck a nation, and then they have the audacity to sit down and say, wow, we tried. It was us that really tried. We tried hard. I can't even believe, Cyrus, that the Iranians would sit at the same table with these savages. I can't believe that. I couldn't do it, because I would tell you, anybody at that table has probably been affected, a member of their family, a friend, a cousin, an aunt, or uncle. Man, this irritates me. And it irritates me because I believed in America. I believed in that country, that they would be our great neighbors as Canadians. You're a Canadian as well. I believed in America, and I've been let down. And I bet you most of the people watching tonight will understand how we feel. Every business in that, if it wasn't one day that he was done with his, we got a ceasefire, but the next morning, anybody that ships anything to Iran is going to suffer 50% tariffs. So ask yourself again, has your business been affected? Has your travel affected? Is your gas bill been affected? Is your 401 been affected? If it has, you know the team to thank for that. And everybody's jumping ship, and they're in free fall. Back to you, sir.
No, absolutely, Alex. I mean, I want to, we basically, I agree with your statement that I'm really happy to see the Candace Owens, and Candace Owens started this probably 12 months ago. I mean, she had a major falling out. At one time, she was on, what is that right wing, like really conservative platform that has a bunch of influencers. She was with that team. But she left about a year ago.
With Ben Shapiro?
Daily Wire?
Daily Wire.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Daily Wire. So she was on the Daily Wire with the Ben Shapiros and quite a few. There's about 6 of them, and they're all mega influencers. They all have millions of subscribers. So they proclaim. And this is what I said. That, this is the one thing that Democrats have to really get better at, is they've got to really get better on social media. There's not really a strong left-wing voice that's going to counter that. And honestly, it's 100% true. Donald Trump won the 2024 election because of social media and because of these podcasters and because of the independent media. And he had all of them. He had all of them supporting him. And again, the biggest thing I want people to understand is that there is no excuse for Donald Trump here, Alex. Donald Trump had control of the House, the Senate, the presidency. He had all the right-wing influencers. It was basically a perfect runway for him to institute the plans that he wants to do in order to make America great again, in order to make America prosper. He had full control. Now, the funny thing is this is basically Donald Trump's presidency summed up in a nutshell: promise everything, deliver nothing, and blame Joe Biden. And so you're still starting to see him trying to, anytime the stock market goes down, that is ramifications from the Biden administration. Give me a break. I mean, Biden's been gone for long enough now, and there's nothing that you can do to say that. And what we're starting to see here, Alex, is we're starting to see people wake up. We're seeing, the biggest trending videos right now across social media are MAGA voters taking their MAGA hats off, throwing them off, and saying, "Look, you lied to me. You betrayed me. I did not want a war. My gas prices are going up." Alex, you asked that question in the chats. We had people saying, I think it's about $4. We had somebody from Norway just come in and say it's $12 a gallon here in Norway. I know in Hong Kong, the city of Hong Kong, Alex, it's $17 a gallon in Hong Kong. It is the highest in the entire world. It is absolutely nuts. And the simple thing is that you have 2 camps of people now. You have people that have seen the light and are starting to walk away, knowing that Donald Trump is the Titanic and he is going down. And then you have those that are actually, just basically kissing the king's ring and basically saying, I'm a Trump loyalist. I will always justify whatever he does. When we had, I don't know if you probably saw that earlier, right? Donald Trump announced the building of a new arch, the Triumph, what is it? The Triumph Arch in Washington, D.C. And it was like, what a great distraction from getting our butts kicked in Iran to say, look, we're going to build this new memorial. It's about triumph. It's about victory. It's about how amazing our nation is. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald Trump. And it's like, yeah, good job, buddy. No one's buying this nonsense anymore. And the funny thing here is, Alex, I saw a tweet yesterday that was just absolutely wild. He said, look, guys, Donald Trump has not taken a single dollar of his U.S. president's salary. And he started comparing the other presidents like Biden and Obama, and he started examining how much salary they get. Just so everybody knows, the salary of the United States president is around $400,000 a year. I think it's $436,000 if I'm not mistaken. It's around that number. Okay, it's under $500K. So that's the salary that a United States president is given. And so basically, Donald Trump has said, no, I don't need it. Right? Forget the $400K. I don't need it. And this right-wing loyalist tried to paint the picture. Look, Donald Trump is working for the people, guys. But look at what you just saw. Alex, you hit the nail on the head. There's insider trading going on. I mean, why would you take $400,000 of salary when you can inside trade the oil markets and you can make billions? I'm not talking millions with an M, Alex. I'm talking billions of dollars. Trump has enriched himself with his crypto schemes, with his insider trading. Pete Hegseth's financial planner was absolutely hammered because he was making all these trades on things like Planeteer and Raytheon and some of these big weapons manufacturers. How about Donald Trump sending a tweet out with the stock symbol saying Planeteer is an amazing U.S. company? The ticker symbol is PLTR, I believe it is. And it's like you have the president of the United States tweeting out ticker symbols of companies that would be good for you. Now, in fairness, that stock has done really well over the last 2 years, and you can understand why. Look at how much conflict that we're getting ourselves into, enriching the military-industrial complex. And again, that's the delusion that these Trump loyalists have. Okay, great. He didn't take $400,000 salary. Yeah, why would you when you're making billions on the back end illegally with insider trading? But yet this guy wants you to believe that Donald Trump's working for free for the people. Give me a break. And I'm very happy to see that the MAGA movement is collapsing. But Alex, I want you to bring up that tweet it's actually which one is it? It's a tweet showing that the GDP growth last quarter, Q4 2025. Let's bring up that tweet that shows the actual. Here you go. Breaking news, this came out a couple days ago. U.S. GDP growth falls from 4.4% to 0.5% in Q4 2025, well below the initially expected 2.8% growth. Guys, this is massive news. This should be on the front page of every single news. Alex, talk to me from the financial perspective. How does a GDP grow from 4.4% to 0.5%? What does that mean? What does that mean economically and from the financial markets? Give us your expertise on that.
A disaster. And it will continue to be a disaster because those numbers will be revised again. Do people think that 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% tariffs are hurting out of their countries? Sure, a little bit. If you're selling to America, that's going to hurt you. But once again, these tariffs are a tax to Americans. Not just that, okay? You mentioned market manipulation. That is crazy what is happening in the United States of America. This administration is front-running trades, absolutely, and going unchecked. Remember I told you, everybody hears this name, the Security and Exchange Commission. They only have civil powers. They don't have criminal powers. And like hell, a DOJ is going to go after the Trump administration. He has deregulated the crypto market. Two trading symbols, ABC, American Bitcoin, sons are involved. Liberty Financial, sons are involved. Okay, and this will continue. You are getting ripped off. The average American is being ripped off. They will continue to get ripped off. for the next 3 years unless something is done about it coming up in the midterms. But again, I've lost faith. I've lost faith in the checks and balances. Yeah, when you see a GDP go from 4.6 to flatline to 0, look out. Think housing crisis, guys. Think the 2008 housing crisis when the credit default swaps went into the negatives. I think it's game over for the U.S. economy unless they're going to slam a few more billions into the market or trillions into the market and do what Peter Schiff has said, quantitative easing number 6, number 7. Why do we see gold at $4,600 an ounce? Why do we see silver at over $100 an ounce a few months ago? We predicted it. We said it's going to happen. We've said that oil would head over $100. We were laughed at on this program 2 to 3 weeks ago when people said, what are you talking about, $100 barrel of oil? Never going to happen. And if it does happen, our trader-in-chief told us that that's good for America. Really? Is it? Well, again, Cyrus, it really, really, makes me angry to see, because this hits the average hardworking American right in the pocketbook. There is no safety in this when this happens. Trump's got you on the tariffs. Trump's got you on imports. Trump's got you on exports. Trump's got you, and if you want to bring, intelligent staff to America, not happening with his block of some of these visas. Then you think, well, okay, maybe I would like to start a business with another country. Nope, got you covered there. Taxes on that. Well, maybe I run a construction company in the Middle East. You think the Iranians are going to hire any Americans to help rebuild their country? Think again. So once again, we've seen this administration trash your country's reputation, hit you in the pocketbook, and make you pay for this war. Just a few weeks ago, cap in hand, Pete Hegseth, hey man, we need a couple $100 billion more. We kind of blew through it. Well, we had a little fire in our aircraft carrier. Back to you, sir.
Yeah, and Alex, what I want to do, excuse me, I want to bring up the clip of Howard Lutnick. Now, guys, what we do is we keep the receipts, okay? I want you to play this clip of Howard Lutnick predicting what the Q4 GDP was. Just a friendly reminder before we play that clip, guys. It was revised from 4.4% growth to 0.5% growth. But listen to this clip. This is what was the prediction given to Americans.
It announces in the fourth quarter of 2025, this economy is going to be humming.
Okay.
Look for the second quarter of 2026 to be amazing as all this money. Okay, the Donald Trump economy. We own the economy in the fourth quarter. We start to get, we get shovels in the ground. I would say the first quarter of next year will be the best quarter. Job after job after factory after factory. They're coming, and they're coming now. So I would say 1 year from today, you're going to see job numbers in the second half of next year that are going to blow you away. And I would say the first quarter of next year will be the best quarter. The golden age of America, it's coming now. You feel it now.
What's going on?
So the economy that Donald Trump owns starts at the end of this year. You can't think of the employment. You look at next year's employment, it is going to explode. All these factories were.
Oh yeah. How's that going? How's that working out for you?
So I just want to be clear. I mean, Alex, we saw that in about 8 different clips there. Okay. This is Howard Lutnick being very clear. Trump owns the economy. He owns it. Okay. And there's no pivoting from this, guys. Okay. This is the Donald Trump economy, okay? Going from 4.4% growth down to 0.5% growth. Like you said, Alex, I mean, we're looking at a huge recession here, similar to the 2008 financial crisis. You and I have been calling this for a long time. But guys, I mean, there's no pivoting from this, right? There's no way that, and Howard Lutnick could say this. And this is the thing that I really baffle about it, because Alex, let's go back a year ago. A year ago, you and I were making videos and discussing this about the trade war. You and I have done international business now. We've been trading with China. We've been doing international business for over 20 years. And we know the logistics. You cannot impose a global tariff war and think that that's going to help your economy. But again, this is the cheap salesman that Howard Lutnick is. Guys, we're making so much revenue from tariffs. Guys, factories are pouring into the United States. Find me one factory that's been built in the last 12 months that's of any massive scale. This is, and they just make up these numbers. Hey, Japan has actually signed a $12 trillion deal with the United States. And what was it, Alex? It was actually a document that basically Japan said, we are going to explore building factories in the United States. We'll sign that document for you today. That just basically means I'm going to look into this. But of course, the Trump administration is going to spend that. Guys, we just signed that's $12 trillion that Japan is now giving to the American. $12 trillion?
Yeah. Spin it to win it.
$12 trillion laying around.
Spin it to win it.
And that's the thing. It's like Alex. I mean, it's a similar thing. It's like, hey, Alex, I want to give you. You know what? I'm going to give you $1 million contract. For our show here. Just sign this document that says, we're going to explore a contract worth a potential $1 million. Okay?
Intent.
So you sign it, and there's no. It's an intent. It's an intention, right? So, and you and I know. I mean, unless that money hits that account, it doesn't mean anything. Right. So, but all of a sudden, imagine just being, it's like, guys, look at this. I've got this contract right here. It says right here, Alex, right here on this contract, it says that I've got $1 million contract. I mean, guys, I'm winning huge. Let's go buy a Maserati. Let's go on a vacation. Honey, I'm home. Look at what I got. I got a letter of intent, $1 million. I'm winning. We're winning. Everybody's winning. It's amazing. This is essentially what the Donald Trump administration is. And the poster boy for that is Howard Lutnick. And again, I just love that we keep the receipts, Alex, right? We have the clips because there's no pivoting from this, right?
Zero.
How do you go back and say, right? How do you go back and say, well, guys, technically this is actually, this is Biden. Trump doesn't own this account. Whoa. You said on about 9 different interviews that we just played that Donald Trump owns the economy. This is the Trump economy. You're going to see job numbers. You're going to see factories. You're going to see all this stuff. So, guys, I mean, I do want to, Alex, highlight a comment that just came in. I thought it was really great, and it's important. It's from Grace LJ9. I was a hardcore MAGA loyalist since before day one. 3-time voter. I want to apologize to my countrymen and the rest of the world for helping put this clown into power. I'm sorry. And a lot of people are mad. I said, Grace, thank you. And I'm glad. I don't. People can make mistakes, and I understand that people have been deceived. I understand that they were sold a lie, and there's nothing wrong with admitting that you made a mistake. Alex, you and I we have come out in the past very bullish for Donald Trump.
Sure.
I certainly was, certainly 10 years ago, 2016, when Trump won, I was optimistic because I said, it's something different. Right? Maybe this is actually a change that America can need. And, hopefully Trump, I mean, it's a risky play, but you never know. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's coming in at day one and he has an opportunity. But of course, we saw Donald Trump just start, it wasn't as bad in 2026 during the first term. Obviously, for me, everything crumbled when, he decided to not support the Democratic results of the 2020 election. When he tried to stage the January 6th takeover, that was the nail in the coffin for me. That was done. You can't do that because it undermines the entire credibility of the United States democracy. And 2024, from the start of this new second term, has been nothing but a strategic disaster. And and you know what? A lot of people are saying that Trump hasn't accomplished anything. I think that's wrong. Trump has single-handedly made the 2 worst strategic U.S. foreign policy decisions in our nation's history in the span of 12 months. He started a tariff war that he's now had to back down from, and then he started an Iran war that he cannot back down from because there's no easy out. You start a tariff war, you can slow walk that back, right? Hey, China, 150% tariffs against you. I'm not backing down. Actually, okay, I was a little bit overextended, guys. We're gonna walk that back. Let's walk that back. Let's get those let's get those tariffs down to like 25%. Because 125%, we're screwed. You can walk back the trade war because you imposed the tariffs. You've just opened the hornet. You've just beaten the crap out of a hornet's nest. You've opened Pandora's box in Iran. And Alex, I got to be honest. If you're Iran, this is why would you want a ceasefire right now? Right? Mm-hmm. This is really funny. Donald Trump says that Iran doesn't hold the cards, but in fact, they're holding us straight. The Strait of Hormuz. How about that? That is a key. Yeah, that's the key thing here, guys. And we've seen that the Strait of Hormuz is enough leverage that it can actually invoke entire global chaos. Guys, you've seen this. And and interesting enough, do you want to know, out of all the 193 independent nations around the world, do you want to know which nation is most exposed to higher gas prices as a whole? Is the United States of America. right? And we've seen that in the comments, right? Gas is now averaging around $4. Alex, last week on Sunday, when I came on, I was traveling. I was in San Diego. I had to tune in from the streets. San Diego gas is $7. I was passing $7 a gallon. That's for unleaded. It's not diesel. Where I'm here in Las Vegas, $5.15 yesterday. Diesel above $6.50. And so, I saw a really brilliant tweet. I really liked, Alex, where it said, guys are like, well, you know what? Gas prices don't affect me that much. I can still afford gas. Big deal. Not worried about it. And it's like, well, hate to break it to you, but our groceries don't get magically teleported to the grocery store. They get bussed in on massive trucks that burn diesel, and all of those costs will go on. Actually, Alex, I got a really interesting thing I want to share with you. Mm-hmm. I was speaking, and my father runs a construction company in Florida, and he said that the gas prices, right? He has a fleet of trucks. He's running this. He says right now the increase in gas prices are going to cost me. He said I'm, filling up all the trucks, all this stuff. He said I'm probably in the last 6 weeks we're looking at about a $6,000 increase. As far as a direct cost to my business. Because of the increased gas prices. Now, obviously, he can afford to take that hit, but it's still, nonetheless, it's a new expense. It's an extra expense that is going to eat into the pricing. Now, my father does a lot of roofs. He just got a message from his roofing supply companies. Obviously, they're all taking massive trucks to deliver those roofing supplies. All of those are now having substantial delivery charges, something they didn't charge for delivery, right? Especially with my father, who's a contractor, you have that good relationship. But now every single delivery is now adding an additional $150 delivery fee to that. Okay?
Trump tax.
That fee did
Trump
not
tax.
exist before, right?
Trump tax.
And it's just like, guys, look. We in order to deliver those supplies, we've got to fill our trucks up with diesel. We have to pass the cost on. So this is where things are going to start compounding here, Alex, where, yes, I want to build a house. I want to buy groceries. All of these things are going to go up in price because all of the costs will have to be passed, much like the tariff war that we saw when it's like, hey, man, if you're getting hit by a 50% tariff, there's some companies can absorb that. Majority can't. Majority are going to be passing that cost on to the customers. That's just how the economics work, Alex. You have to run. It's profit and loss. You got to cut a profit at the end of the day, or you can't pay your bills. Back to you, buddy.
Yeah, it's pretty dark times out there, and I'm watching the financial markets. I trade derivatives, a little bit different than what people trade. Most everybody trades the stock market, but the derivatives market is very, very different. It's my way of survival. I've been doing it for 20 years. Here's the thing, is most people in the market, they do one thing. They buy a stock and they hold it and they hope it goes up. Well, we've just seen a GDP that has been reforecasted at 0. And when you see 0 growth, well, I'm sure that's going to hit your portfolio as well. My major concern is that the average person is not, Cyrus, the average person doesn't understand these markets. They're more complex than just calling your broker, buying and selling a stock. And we've said this many times on this program that you have to get yourself educated about it. Many people have emailed me before. If you do, I can point you in the right direction when it comes to this kind of thing. But you need to get out there and educate yourself and tune into this show a lot more because, a lot of the stuff that we do during Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is we gather this information for you. Cyrus and I are on the phone each day, and we are, once this show is over, we're preparing for the next show the following week. And we're staying consistent with it, but we find that each weekend more and more people are tuning in and understanding that they need to get an edge on what's going on in this economy. You're not going to hear it on the Fox News Network or a lot of these other, let's just say, social media networks that have right-wing or MAGA kind of influence to it, because they're going to cheerlead the Trump lead here. If they don't, they're going to end up on his hit list of people that he's cast aside. And Cyrus, that number is massive, isn't it? I mean, these people have huge audiences. Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson. I mean, I've even seen Piers Morgan actually change his tune here in the last week or so. They're all jumping ship. And I don't know where it's going to land from here, but I'll hand it over to you to take this away for the rest of the evening. But I want to say thanks again for the Reporterfy Media, the iChongqing, and the Cyrus Janssen channel for joining into tonight's program. Thanks again, guys. It's been absolutely fantastic. Let's go through any more clips that you got. But once again, guys, once this show is over, we are back at the drawing board to get more detailed information and to bring it onto the show. And don't hesitate to leave comments in our comment sections. Tell us what you'd like to see. I'm going to hand it to you to round it up for tonight there, Cyrus. Thanks again.
Yeah. Well, guys, there's a couple of things I want to, leave us with here. And the first thing is that, we have, I want to address the Epstein files because I believe that there is going to be some substantial evidence coming out here in the next week or so, really hammering Donald Trump on this. This is why Melania tried to get ahead of this. And again, this is an interesting one, right? Donald Trump said that this is a hoax, right? There's nothing at Epstein. Then why do you have your wife going to do a press conference unannounced, trying to get ahead of this and trying to basically, get out some media statements about this? She was definitely advised from somebody on the inside saying, look, you need to get ahead of this because this is coming out. And we're going to see this in the next week or so. Now, I want to conclude with a clip that has gone absolutely viral on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. This is basically, I'm going to give you guys a 60-second recap of the Iran war. And we're going to play this clip for you now. This is the hilarious breakdown of the war.
I'm not sure why we're all still having trouble with this. Let's try it again from the top. This is a victory for the U.S. because our goal from day one was for Iran to open the strait that didn't close till after we attacked, which was completely controlled by their military we had total dominance over. And it was a waterway that we could have taken over, but instead asked for help that we didn't need, but we'll remember that our allies did not give us. All because of the negotiating power of a FIFA Peace Prize recipient's threat to annihilate a civilization in order to liberate them from a regime that changed, which was not our goal, but we will take credit for, from an old man who hates us to his younger son who hates us for those reasons and that we killed his father. And while it is not clear the status of Iran's nuclear capabilities that we obliterated last year, but we're going to be a problem in 2 weeks, one thing is for sure. They now have more money and control of the strait than they had when they made the old deal that we ended because it was terrible. Now, I think that is enough about authoritarian propagandistic regimes. Does anybody have any questions about the Trump Library golden statue?
I mean, Alex, that clip has gone absolutely viral. I'm going to say that it's probably been viewed in the excess of 40 million times now. And it is incredible because this is the contradictions that we are seeing. And this is what we're seeing from the Trump administration, right? We don't need help opening the strait because we don't need any European allies because we're dominant. We absolutely dominated Iran. By the way, we're going to remember those that said that didn't want to help us. Okay. Oh, Spain, France, Germany, Italy, we're going to remember that you guys didn't want to help us. But in reality, we didn't need your help because we're already military dominant. Okay, we've already dominated Iran. And guys, guess what? We've achieved the goal, right? We've achieved the regime change because now there's a new regime in town, right? It's the instead of the 86-year-old Ayatollah, we now have his son who's 56 years old. That's a regime change, okay? In addition to that, Iran, the Strait of Hormuz was open, guys. Guys, I was able to open the Strait of Hormuz despite the fact that it was already open before we started the war. But I've opened it now. Now, Iran is, now before it was $0 to go through the strait before. Now Iran is charging $2 million, which, by the way, Alex, you have to pay in either Chinese renminbi or crypto. No US dollars is accepted anymore.
And why should it?
But that's okay. That's okay because we've achieved a strategic victory in Iran. So I think this clip, the reason that it went viral is because there's no way to spin this, guys. There's no way to spin the fact that Donald Trump has made a complete error in the Middle East, and there's no way to pivot from here. There's no way to pivot. The ceasefire is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And there's no way that Iran is going to agree to a deal because here's the deal. Iran has been blindsided multiple times in the past, Alex. They have gone to the negotiating tables only to realize that was a complete false front and then be attacked, right? Again, we talked about you can go to the White House right now. They said June last year when they launched a 12-day war and the United States went in and they bombed Iran's nuclear facilities, we have obliterated everything related to Iran's nuclear program. They're done. Toast. Anything else is propaganda. This was the words from Donald Trump last June. But then all of a sudden, now we have to go in and we have to launch a war because they're weeks away from having a nuclear bomb. So it's just this constant back and forth and constant contradictions from a White House staff that has no idea what they're doing. And Alex, I mean, again, this 60-second recap, the reason that it went viral, over 40 million views across all social media platforms, is because it is the most serious, recap that, again, you can't pivot from this. I'd like to get any MAGA influencer or anybody that still supports the Trump movement right now. How do you refute the facts that were said in that? And then look at how he ended that. He said, now let's talk about my Trump golden statue. I mentioned that earlier. Trump had basically made a news conference saying, look at this amazing triumphant arch that we're going to build in Washington, D.C., guys. This is a testament to how amazing America is. This is the emperor with no clothes, Alex. Trump is walking down the streets naked, and people are pretending that he's wearing clothes. But yet, if you remember how that story goes, there's a little boy at the end who says, "Mommy, he's not wearing any clothes." And then all of a sudden, everybody realized it. And then the king felt like an idiot because he'd been conned. And that is exactly what's happening right now. Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure to share the screen with you. I want to say, again, a huge thank you to your team that is making an incredible presentation. I apologize, guys. I'm on the road again. I've been on the road so much, and it's but I'm staying dedicated to making sure we get these videos out.
Yeah.
We've had tons of people here on the stream, and I just want to say, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the amazing support. We're going to continue to build this up. And just to kind of give everybody some previews here, I'm about 5 weeks away from, taking my family and I. We go back every summer to Guangzhou. I'm going to be in China for 2 months this summer. Very excited about that. Alex, we're going to be meeting in Chongqing, recording some awesome videos together. And really, continuing. We're always looking on how we can level up and how do we take this show to the next one. Yeah, I'm just excited to be here, and I want to say thank you all so much.
And we'll do that. And again, everybody, don't forget to subscribe to both channels, Cyrus Janssen and Reporterfy Media. You'll see the links in either my description or Cyrus's description. If not, I'll put a post there in the chat area for you guys. This is episode 3 here of the... Let's talk geopolitics. Sorry, got a little sidetracked there looking at if we had any more tweets to put up. But yeah, let's talk geopolitics, LTG. And episode 3 tonight, it was called White House Chaos. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. I'm going to be in Shanghai. I will be there for you guys. Cyrus, I'm not sure where he's going to be. This guy, I can't keep track of him all the time. But anyway, it's been a pleasure. And everybody, once again, don't forget to share, like these videos throughout all social media. It means a lot to us, and we enjoy spending our Sunday morning and Sunday evenings with you. Over to you, Cyrus, and then we'll go to the outro.
Absolutely. Well, guys, once again, I want to thank you all for your incredible support. I saw some comments in there that Cyrus is on fire this morning. He's really fired up. I am fired up because I'm a passionate U.S. citizen. I mean, I'm proud to represent this country because I believe that I have a better view of the world because I travel the world and I spend a lot of time abroad. And many of you who follow this channel, I mean, over the last 5 years, we've built a network of over 1 million people here on YouTube, but it's because we foster relationships. We build relationships. I was in Spain last month, filming at the world's largest, or sorry, I should say Europe's largest tech conference. And I was able to film a video about all of the Chinese tech that are coming out and helping countries around the world. Alex, it was incredible. We saw African delegations. Everybody was so amazed at what China is doing for the world. And that's the role model that I want to see for the world, a country that acts responsibly, a country that is able to build bridges and actually make the world a better place. And that's what we're fighting for. And so I'm definitely going to fight for America because I hate to see our country decline so fast. But unfortunately, when you elect a clown into the White House, it is going to become a circus. And that's exactly what we've seen. But everyone, thank you for all your amazing support. Alex, we'll be on the road somewhere next week, but I'll be dedicated to this show. And thank you, everybody, for tuning into Let's Talk Geopolitics, our new weekly show, debuting every single weekend. We're going to keep improving. So a huge thank you to everybody, and let's roll that outro.